Here's Rick Santorum. I don't know where they wheeled this guy out. I don't know where he's been as of late, but they brought Rick Santorum out to sit on this panel. CNN, I mean, it's not a terribly diverse group of guys we're looking at here. But, I mean, to be fair, there's a woman on the panel. Two of the guys don't have glasses, and then two of the guys do have glasses. So there is some difference here. But here's Rick Santorum explaining why Donald Trump, when he's talking about terrorism, doesn't mention the fact that you just had a white nationalist go on a killing spree in Canada of Muslims. Because it's all part of a narrative. You remember old Rick Blah, the Blah people, Santorum? You remember old Rick Santorum who gave birth to right-wing Mandela when he said Mandela's death was not unlike his fight against the Affordable Care Act? It's Rick Santorum.
It should not be a shock to anybody that anybody is not going to tweet out things that don't necessarily fit with the narrative that the administration is trying to put forward. The previous president, when there were attacks by anybody who shot someone black, the president would be out there with some sort of statement to talk about it. If it was the reverse, you never heard anything. So there is a narrative that the White House tries to drive on issues that they care about.
President Obama didn't comment about shootings of non-colored people. I mean, I remember him being very vocal on Sandy Hook and other.
Well, that was a mass school shooting. I'm talking about
others.
Look, you know as well as I do, Jim, that when there was white on black crime, the president was all over it, and when it was a black on white crime, that was simply not the case. And so this is not something new, and that I'm just talking about one example, but there are lots of other examples. If the president's out there saying, look, we have an issue with radical Islam, that's what he's going to focus his attention on with his tweets. He's not going to be distracted, potentially, and not that this is not a distraction. He should have commented on it, but it's not surprising that he didn't.
I see you're talking about strategy,
right.
But this is about what is right and wrong when you're the president of the United States.
I think President Obama should have commented on those other things.
And so
I think President Trump should have commented on it.
Let me get Angela.
What mass shooting by a black person of white people did Barack Obama not comment on? What mass shooting of white people did a black person actually perpetrate? Am I forgetting?
I can't. The only ones that could remotely even fill in any type of the category that he's trying to get in were not purely racially motivated, and Obama commented on them extensively, like the guy who killed cops in Dallas. If you were bending over backwards to be generous to what he's trying to say, Obama not only talked about it, he flew to Dallas.
Oh, okay, but he had to.
Oh, he had to.
He had to. But what about the other times?
Well, obviously kept his mouth shut.
Right, of course.
He was thrilled.
Of course.
And as I said before, I mean, I thought when he went to Dallas and he said that, dear, brave young brother who put pigs in blankets.
You know what?
That was a little sketchy.
I really think if you're going to make that point on national television, you need to have one example. Like, I think if I'm Wolf Blitzer, it's incumbent upon me to say, you know what, Rick? I'm going to let you make that statement, but I'm going to have to ask for one example of what you're talking about.
You know, Rick.
One example.
Our standards are really low.
8 years.
But you need at least one.
8 years, an entire country. I'll even let you cite an example that happened outside the country. One example. Well, there's so many. I could probably not even
I wouldn't
pick.
even know where to pick.
I wouldn't even know where to start.
And I also do well.
And then Rick Santorum would say, "Well, outside of this one killing in Quebec, can you name one that Donald Trump ignored as president?" I mean, honestly, at one point, maybe you need to take your hosts of these television programs and just take them to a course where it's just like, if someone's going to say something on your set, and I understand you don't call everybody, and look, I do this punditry too. Sometimes you say stuff that you can't back up. But if you can't back up, you should be called on it. I think I think it's fair to say, like, come up with one example.
Well, and it's amazing because, you know, I obviously totally disagree with Rick, but I could think of several. I thought, like when Obama said, "We'll find you, Whitey, with our necklaces." I thought that was something where he was maybe instigating black people to do something to white people. When he praised the shooter at the
hopefully
shipyards in Virginia, which wasn't particularly racial. Oh, you know what? Obama didn't call out that crazy newscaster guy who shot his ex-colleagues somewhere. That guy was black. Nailed it.
Boom. Okay.
Except I think he actually did call that.
All right. Hey, it's Sam Seder. Why don't you subscribe to this channel? You can do so right over here. Over. Subscribe.